Ascending Forward, message number 27. Conversations with the collective consciousness of the starseeds from Earth. The Ark of the Covenant and the Seal of Amenti. New Age has created the Akashic Records. However, this definition falls very short in explaining the complexity of the entanglement of all of the possible timelines in a vast ocean of Prime Creator's experience. The individual Akosh is a more understandable fractal of the above-mentioned infinite oceans of expression. There are 3 Ark of the Covenant, and they are under the Pentagon, in the Kremlin, and on Tolika, the Pleiadian starship in orbit around the Earth. These 3 Ark of the Covenant contain and protect the Seal of Amenti. The Seal of Amenti is the blueprint of humanity over the last 12,500 years. The Ark of the Covenant have a security system whereby they can only be opened by their rightful custodians who have a high frequency. So the one under the Pentagon and the one under the Kremlin cannot be opened by their temporary custodians. The Ark of the Covenant and the Seal of Amenti are a kind of AI and can read the energy of the people trying to open them. This is similar to the plot in the movie Raiders of the Lost Ark. In a secret location in Inner Earth, matching the Seal of Amenti, is a crystalline cave which protects the encoded DNA frequencies of souls incarnating onto the Earth. It is called the Akosh. In each incarnation that a soul may undertake, there is an encoded frequency, and it is stored in a library in the crystals. As above, so below. So on the surface of the Earth, the soul has encoded into the biology matrix these frequency codes which you call DNA, and their counterpart is safely stored and recorded in the underground cave that some refer to as the Ark of the Covenant or the Holy Grail. We always retain our Akosh, that is, all of our journeys are retained in our DNA. The regressives, as in the Raiders of the Lost Ark, will stop at nothing to find this cave. However, the custodians and protectors, who are many races from beyond the Earth, including the M45 Pleiadian High Council, are keeping the location and security in their very capable hands. Everything in the universe is a frequency. Everything in the universe is a frequency. Every emotion, every event, every human. Our DNA is connected to source consciousness, so we are connected to every experience that has ever been or will ever be. In the physical body, we can experience anyone's experience and bring it in from somewhere. It doesn't matter if it is ours or someone else's. If we have that frequency in our body, we can experience it. If you came into this life wanting to experience the frequencies of, say, Cleopatra, you can tune into that Akosh and come into this life with those frequencies. You may not have been Cleopatra living in Egypt, but you can play out that frequency. So if you believe that you are trapped in an experience, that experience that you were trapped in may not even be your experience. If you feel trapped, then you have not let go of an emotional experience. In this case, you are stuck in a loop and relive the same frequencies over and over again. As we transcend our emotions, all lives and all other timelines are also transcended. Everything that hasn't been transcended is here in this lifetime because everything is connected. No matter what has happened in other timelines, if they have not been integrated, those frequencies will appear in this timeline, so everything can be resolved here and now. Timelines. There are infinite timelines that we can be on. Timelines are a digital program that is playing out. We can only move forward as one humanity. However, we can also all be on different timelines. Although we can be on different timelines, they will be very similar with a desired communal outcome. The new 5D Earth. If we are on a different timeline to someone else, we can help to create an energy field for that other person so that they are experiencing a similar timeline with a similar outcome to ours. A human being can be on a timeline, and their family can be on another timeline, and yet they can share a mutual timeline also. There are thousands of timelines and thousands of Earths, and on the lowest timeline, the Cabal has removed half of the population and are in complete control. There is a timeline where many people have been annihilated, and another timeline where people have successfully raised their frequency and ascended. Which one will I animate? The highest timeline is where Earth and all of humanity has ascended. It is important to see everyone on the best timeline that can be imagined. Timelines and the now. Imagine that the only thing in the universe that is real is an individual's consciousness in the now moment. The only place that is real is the now moment, because it is outside of temporal, time, expressions. The temporal concept held in place in the 3D matrix is that a person's future is more of their past. When an individual lives in the past or the future, in two places that aren't real, they project the past consciousness into the future. If they have fear, they are in the past or the future. If they have attachments to anything, they are attached to an event in the past and projecting that attachment into the future. In this case, the only place that they are not is in the now moment. If there is something that an individual couldn't deal with in the past, and they project this into the future, then this keeps them in linear time. This is called living unconsciously, and in this case, they are unaware of who they actually are beyond this self-created or co-created experience. How we animate the variety of possible timelines. Now imagine that you, right now, are in your now moment, and as each second unfolds, you are moving through time. So there is time in duality. Each new now moment is a ball of energy. So you are a ball of energy moving on a timeline from one now moment to the next now moment. Now imagine that behind you there are 10 timelines coming in from the left to the right, and each one of these is a timeline of you on this earth. They are different versions of you, or incarnations of you, all feeding into you in this now moment. If you turn around as you now, you can look up any of those timelines, and there are versions or variations of you doing something on each timeline. They are not identical, however they will all be having a similar experience as you in this life with different outcomes. All of these timelines impact each other because all of them are you. Do you think that your soul only wanted to experience one outcome in this lifetime? Imagine that every relationship you have had is being experienced right now on your other respective timelines. Whether you have parted with the other person or not, there is a timeline where you are still together. Now imagine that your higher self is experiencing all of those relationships to see what he or she can learn from them. They are not over. They all exist, and they are intertwined with each other. The common denominator is you now, because your attention is where you are now. So real time is fed by, let's say, 10 versions of yourself right now coming down the timelines, and you only exist as you are today because of those 10 timelines. You now, in your now moment, can choose who you want to be from all of those experiences that collectively make up you in your now moment, because you are not your avatar. Your avatar is like a computer, so your avatar is the hard drive. You have your programming for this life, and you have similar programming from the other 10 lives being live fed into you. The programming is the software, and it dictates your experience. Here's the exciting bit. You, right now, can make a huge change, a quantum leap in consciousness, and that change travels back up all of those timelines and changes them all. You can bring your 10 other timelines into your now reality timeline. Now expand that to the different versions of your soul living past lives. There might be thousands of them, and they can all be integrated as well. Another exciting possibility in your life right now is that you can meditate, talk to yourself in another timeline, and then come back. You can access your other selves and learn from them and bring that knowledge into your now timeline. Timelines and drama. On another timeline, a person might be awake. However, on this timeline, they are asleep, living unconsciously. Or, on the other hand, on this timeline, they might be asleep, and on another timeline, awake. When an awake person engages in another person's drama, the person with the drama is literally attempting to drag the awake person into another timeline. Once there, they participate in the 3D drama frequency. The awake person can then become asleep, and this affects the timeline where they were awake. They can be dragged down, or they become asleep in their awake timeline. Or, if a person judges someone to be wrong in any way, for example because they are on a destructive timeline, the person judging is lowering their frequency and the other person's. Now both timelines are on a lower similar frequency. So just as a person can ascend in the now and transform their other timelines so that their other timelines ascend, the opposite is true. If that person were to descend into a low vibration 3D energy, the timelines where they are a high vibration disappear or change, because everything is a frequency match, and those lives cannot sustain the now low vibration 3D energy. In the same way that similar frequencies are a match for one another, dissimilar frequencies repel each other. However, every experience is entangled with every other experience. Unless the person on the low vibration timeline chooses to move beyond their drama, nothing that the person trying to help them says or does will be right. The problem here is with the person on the low vibration timeline, and they and only they can deal with it. It is hard work to raise oneself above other people's drama or negative timelines. So an individual has to wonder, why am I here being dragged down with this person? Sometimes it is better to visualize the asleep person as being awake, being loving, and free of drama, rather than spending physical time in their energy field. The ETs choose not to come down if humanity is on a drama timeline because they do not want to be pulled back and away from their ascension either. Humanity needs to be a frequency match for their higher selves if they want to experience their higher selves. Clairvoyance and drama. Often, when a clairvoyant looks down a person's timelines, he or she sees the timeline that they, the clairvoyant, are a closer frequency match for. For example, if the clairvoyant has been unsuccessful with intimate relationships, they will be a closer frequency match for the timelines where the client has had unsuccessful relationships. The clairvoyant might be seeing a timeline where the person stays in an unhealthy relationship, whereas that person might be better to raise their frequency, leave the relationship, and create another timeline where they are realizing the best version of themselves. It can be dangerous for a person to put their faith and trust in a clairvoyant's advice when they are unaware of the clairvoyant's frequency or the timeline that the clairvoyant is looking down. Walk-ins. A walk-in can come into a biological body, have an experience, and then leave, and the body doesn't die, because a biological body can operate without consciousness. So what happens to the body? There is an echo. In this case, the consciousness of the walk-in, who has left the biological body or avatar, leaves an echo of the experience that the walk-in had while in the body. The echo can be unfinished business in the lives that the avatar is also connected to on other timelines. In other words, all of the unfinished business on all of those other timelines can be drawn into the avatar's now experience. So can all of those positive experiences on those other timelines be drawn into the avatar's now experience. This is called integration. The important point here is that the consciousness who walked in and later stepped out has left an echo in that reality, so there are other timelines entangled. There is, however, with the integration of these other entangled timelines, only an element of the experience and consciousness remaining, if you like, a weak signal of that experience. This may sound complex at first, to the unfamiliar. However, as explained above, there are multiple timelines all feeding into the now consciousness. Some are echoes of timelines, as well as other timelines that are off-planet, and other realities and realms, all feeding into the human being's consciousness in the now. It can be seen as complex. However, it is really all about frequencies. There are infinite timelines, and many of these are available at any time once a human being has ascended from 3D. They can visit these timelines in 5D and beyond. Our higher selves experience our timelines. It is only possible for a human being to be aware of the densities that are below them. So in a 3D matrix, they are not aware of their higher selves. Their higher selves in the higher dimensions, however, are aware of every frequency timeline below them. An individual's higher selves are their 12D souls stepped down into lower densities so that they can experience different densities and learn from them. Everything is a part of me. They are, therefore, already having an experience in 4D, 5D, 6D, and so on. They are 12D beings who have their focused attention awareness in all of the densities and timelines below 12D. In this way, the 3D, 4D, 5D, and so on beings are a mentor for their higher selves, because their higher selves are always observing their lower frequency aspects. As the lower frequency human being approaches each obstacle, hardship, or choice, their higher selves look with interest. What will he or she do now? It is often the case that the creative solutions that a human being finds in 3D are so admired in the higher dimensions that their higher selves bring those solutions into their own reality. Many of the problems that are experienced in 3D are also problems in 5D, and as the 3D human resolves them, their higher selves can then integrate these solutions into their reality. In 3D, the human being is not only mentored, they are also mentoring their higher selves. Mentoring is a two-way process. At a higher consciousness, the soul can integrate all timelines into one timeline. This is integrating consciousness. The timeline of love, compassion, non-judgment, and empathy. When a human being is aligned with love, compassion, non-judgment, and empathy, they can then wake up and animate all of their other high vibrational timelines that they resonate with, because those other personalities or consciousnesses all have similar understandings on those other timelines, and together they create a powerful collective animated timeline. From the higher densities, they are also energizing that powerful higher timeline and pushing their higher vibrational energy through that collective timeline. When humans are aligned with this powerful higher vibrational and awake timeline, their other timelines can align with it too, because they are no longer animating them. They can still jump onto those other lower vibrational timelines at any time, because they still exist, but they are not animated. Every second of every day, an individual is modulating their frequency and constantly navigating the possibilities of timelines. They choose them depending upon the frequency that they are holding and the choices that they make. All thoughts create. For those who think they are awake, however, they are instead entertaining drama, and do it lifetime after lifetime, not knowing how to step onto another timeline. The job of the starseeds is to mentor them, and especially the young starseeds, because they are still coming through the birthing process. And what will wake them up is the starseed transmitting high-frequency energy. When a starseed interacts with people, people start to wake up. So the starseed needs to hold a high frequency and interact with people. The higher density collectives are working through starseeds' biological energy fields, so they become a transmitter, and the energy is like a focused laser that will wake people up, where they feel their energy shift as they interact with the energy of the starseed. They may not realize, however, that it is the interaction with the starseed that assists waking them up. The Ascension and Timelines. Starseeds have already ascended. They are sitting in high 4D, waiting to step onto the new 5D Earth, and sometimes moving in between 4D and 5D Earth. However, they are here on a mission. Starseeds have been incarnating on 3D Earth for 12,500 years, so that they can raise the collective consciousness. It was an assignment to come, to mentor and be in service for the new 5D Earth. A starseed has a mind that is so creative that they want to manifest a whole new world. There are also new starseeds incarnating onto Earth who have a different DNA, and they will be the new civilization for the new 5D Earth. They have a totally different matrix in their DNA, so that they are a frequency match for the new 5D Earth and the new paradigm. The starseeds came onto the Earth to shed love and integrate fear, because they can only change a system when they are actually inside the 3D matrix. Starseeds have the willingness to grow consciously and are building the next generation of humanity. There is a mixture of starseeds on Earth from all over the universe. They are creating something new. They are creating new versions of themselves and a new humanity. There are infinite timelines available. So there is another 5D Earth timeline where Earth has moved into another orbit. On any of the 5D Earth timelines, new human societies will develop, and as and when appropriate, many of the starseeds will choose to leave, continuing their growth through experience in other realities. One possibility for a new timeline is that the new 5D Earth may have changed to a longer way around journey because there are not enough souls and starseeds that have woken up. Many new ages are waiting for this year to be liberated by a solar flash when Earth goes automatically into 5D, thus eliminating or reducing the necessity of looking inwards and doing their inner work. Instead, they are outward looking, hoping that the necessary changes come from outside of themselves. However, in this case, it could take 1 or 2 generations before their ascension. The ascension depends on the consciousness of the people on Earth. That does not mean that timelines for their ascension are not available sooner. However, if starseeds have come to assist, they are here because it is their mission to be here, and they may choose to stay longer. That is why the ETs are coming, to mentor the new civilizations of starseeds. So the timelines to ascend after 1 or 2 generations is a possibility. In that case, the starseeds could open the possibility of a timeline where they come back in biological bodies with full memory of who they were before, and then in the new energies continue their work. The new starseeds could have just left the Earth and then incarnate again, so it could be a quick reincarnation. 5D beings know that they can experience everything in the universe because they are every experience in the universe. The Arcturians are such a high frequency that they do not need to spend a lot of time in a biological body, and nor do they have a need to have a partner, as humanity does on Earth, attempting to find a balance between male and female energy. They are happy with who they are. The Pleiadians and Andromedans are getting close to this. When you know that you are all that is, and you feel it in your heart, then you can choose not to stay in 5D for very long. We may choose not to go home again, because where we have come from may not necessarily be where we are heading. Spiritual evolution is all about evolving and creating new experiences. Returning back to a comfort zone, as attractive as it may sound, does not satisfy the desire for growth. The new timeline is growth, experience, and understandings. There is never an end to refinement. It is so exciting. It is complex, however, that does not mean that it is difficult. During the energies of 2022, there is the strong possibility, if a human is on the journey towards waking up, that the soul will vacate their body and a starseed will walk in. There could be a massive wave of starseeds coming into the human biology, and this will put us on the timeline to the new 5D Earth. If there were a tourism campaign in the universe, it would be to come to Earth because a species is ascending. When we ascend to 5D and beyond, it is likely that 3D will never exist again. There are no timelines. Time is fluid, and in 5D, A being may not think of time like humanity does here on Earth. An individual's 5D awareness can integrate all of these timelines. So really, there are no timelines because everything is a massive consciousness and everyone's experiences are intertwined and inseparable. So all experiences are a part of everyone else's experiences. In much the same way, there are really no densities, nor are there different souls. Everything is a frequency existing in an ocean of entangled consciousness, expressing itself through experience, inseparable as a timeless expression of the Creator. As the individual comes to understand this, they are ready to meet their 5D conscious counterpart, and we welcome you all with no exceptions. Tiwana, Tawa, Tiawa.